I knew I shouldn't feel this way. I was married. I had a home, a husband, a life built on vows and promises. But the moment I saw Arif, everything inside me shifted. It started innocently. A smile across the fence, a casual hello when I carried groceries inside. But there was something about him. Something unspoken, magnetic. He was only 25, a fresh breath of life moving into the quiet house next door, while I was 34, a married woman stuck in a routine where love had become predictable and mechanical. And yet, the first time his eyes lingered on me, really lingered, I felt it. A warmth spread through me, awakening something I thought had long faded away. That summer evening, I stood by the roses in my garden, trimming dead petals, when his voice startled me. "You take care of those flowers like they're your babies," Arif said, leaning lazily against the fence, a teasing smile playing on his lips. I laughed softly. Plants thrive when you give them attention. Most things do. He tilted his head, his dark eyes glinting with something I couldn't name. "Guess I should take notes then. I've managed to kill every green thing I've ever owned." Smirk. "Maybe you're not patient enough." He stepped closer, resting his forearms on the fence. "Or maybe I just need the right teacher." It was harmless flirting. That's what I told myself. But my heart thudded in my chest as if it knew better. Days turned into weeks, and somehow Arif became everywhere. Morning jogs past my gate. Casual chats while he watered his barely surviving plants. Evenings when he'd sit on his porch, strumming his guitar. His soft melodies drifting into my living room and pulling me to the window like a moth to flame. And then came the rain. That afternoon, the sky cracked open and poured relentlessly. I was rushing to grab the laundry when I saw him outside, standing shirtless under the storm. His head tilted back, letting the rain drench him completely. "Arif!" I called out from the veranda, my voice half lost in the thunder. "You'll catch a cold." He looked up at me, rain streaming down his jaw, his grin mischievous. "Then make me tea to cure it." I hesitated, biting my lip. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. But something deep inside me whispered otherwise. "Fine," I said finally. "Come inside." The moment he stepped into my kitchen, shaking the rain from his hair, the air shifted. I brewed tea as he leaned casually against the counter. His damp t-shirt clinging to his chest, every line of him etched with youth and energy. "You always take care of everyone," he said softly, watching me closely. "Your plants, your husband, even me." I turned, startled by the intensity in his voice. "That's just who I am, I guess." He shook his head slowly, stepping closer, his voice dropping to a low murmur. "But who takes care of you?" My breath caught. My hand stilled on the teacup. No one had asked me that. Not in years. Before I could respond, his fingers brushed mine as he took the cup from my hands. That single touch sent shivers down my spine. Our eyes locked, and in that moment, the silence between us felt louder than the storm outside. I told myself to step back, to draw the line. But I didn't. The next few days were torture. Every glance, every word, every accidental touch seemed charged with something dangerous. When I watered the roses, I could feel his gaze from his balcony. When he strummed his guitar at night, I sat by the window, unable to look away. It was a game neither of us acknowledged but both of us played. Until one evening, when the power went out during another summer storm. I lit candles around the living room, the warm glow making everything softer, quieter, more intimate. My husband was working late. The house was silent except for the rain, until a knock came at the door. It was Arif, holding a small lantern. "Thought you might need extra light," he said, his voice smooth, almost teasing. I stepped aside, letting him in. The flicker of candlelight danced on his face, casting shadows that made him look almost unreal. We sat on the couch, talking softly, the storm outside cocooning us from the world. And then, without meaning to, the words slipped out of me. "Arif, this is wrong." He leaned closer, his voice a whisper that made my heart stutter. Then tell me to leave. I opened my mouth but nothing came. Because I didn't want him to leave. The moment hung between us, suspended, fragile. He reached out, his fingertips grazing my cheek, and I closed my eyes, surrendering to the sensation. The heat of his palm, the closeness of his breath, the way my name sounded on his lips. It was intoxicating. Arif. I breathed, my voice barely audible. Tell me you don't feel this, he whispered. But I couldn't. 'Cause I did. Every nerve in my body screamed it. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't. When his lips finally brushed mine, it was soft, tentative, almost reverent. A stolen kiss under the quiet approval of the storm. Afterward we sat in silence, hearts pounding, breaths shallow. We hadn't crossed every line, but we'd crossed enough to know there was no going back. I told myself it would stop there, that we'd forget, that it was just a moment. But it wasn't, because the next day I found myself waiting, listening for his guitar, hoping for another knock at my door. And when it came, when our stolen moments turned into longer nights, whispered secrets, and soft touches in shadowed corners, I stopped pretending. I stopped pretending I didn't want him. I stopped pretending he didn't want me. And in those fleeting hours when it was just us, no rules, no expectations, no consequences, I let myself be his, even if the rest of the world could never know. By the end of that summer, I was no longer the same woman. Because sometimes, a single person can awaken a part of you thought was dead forever. And Arif had done exactly that. I thought I could control it. I thought that one stolen kiss would be enough to quiet the storm raging inside me. I was wrong. Every time I tried to stay away, I found myself drawn to him. Every time I promised myself it would end, I ended up back where it all began. In his presence, where logic stopped existing and all that remained was us. It happened on a night when the air itself felt heavy with desire. The summer heat had clung to the city all day, and even after sunset, the air was thick and warm. Raghav, my husband, had left for a 2-day work trip, and the silence of the house pressed in around me. I sat by the window trying to read, but I wasn't really reading. I was listening. Listening for the soft strum of Arif's guitar from next door. And then I heard it. Slow, soulful notes floated through the warm night, every chord tugging at something deep inside me. Without thinking, I stepped out into the veranda, letting the faint breeze brush against my skin. Across the fence, under the soft golden glow of his porch light, Arif sat with his guitar. His head bowed slightly as he played. He looked up and our eyes locked. I should have gone back inside. But I didn't. A few minutes later there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, he stood there, hands shoved in his pockets. His t-shirt clinging slightly to his chest from the humid air. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked softly. I hesitated, my fingers tightening on the doorframe. "No. Me neither," he said, stepping closer, his voice lower now. "Thought maybe we could not sleep together." The weight of his words hung between us, thick and dangerous. I should have said no. I should have turned him away. But my body betrayed me. I stepped aside, letting him in. The house was quiet, the only light coming from a single lamp in the living room. The silence was deafening, our unspoken thoughts filling every inch of the space. He walked closer, stopping just a breath away. I could feel the heat radiating from him, smell the faint mix of his cologne and summer air. "This is wrong," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Then stop me," he murmured. I didn't. His hand cupped my cheek, his thumb brushing across my skin as if memorizing it. When his lips finally touched mine, there was no hesitation this time, no restraint, only hunger, deep and aching. I melted into him, my fingers tangling in his shirt as if I'd been waiting for this forever. His arms wrapped around me, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us. Everything blurred after that. The soft gasp that escaped me when his lips trailed down my neck, the way his breath shuddered against my skin, the feel of his fingertips exploring paths they shouldn't. It was reckless, dangerous, irresistible. When he whispered my name like a prayer, I felt my heart twist painfully in my chest. Arif, I breathed, my voice shaky. We shouldn't. I know, he interrupted softly, his forehead resting against mine. But I can't stop wanting you. And God help me, I couldn't stop wanting him either. Hours passed like moments. Our words dissolved into sighs. Our touches became confessions. And for the first time in years, I felt alive. He didn't just make me feel desired. He made me feel seen. Every stolen glance, every whispered word, every lingering touch told me he craved not just my body but me. When dawn crept through the curtains, painting the room in soft gold, we sat side by side on the edge of the bed, silent, breathing heavily, hearts pounding as reality crashed back in. We can't keep doing this, I whispered. I know, he said, his voice hoarse. But he didn't move. Neither did I. Because deep down we both knew the truth. We were already too far gone. In the weeks that followed, we existed in a world of stolen moments. His hand brushing mine when no one was watching, secret smiles across the fence, late-night whispers only the stars bore witness to. Every second with him felt like a sin I couldn't repent for. And didn't want to. Because Arif had awakened something in me that I couldn't put back to sleep. It wasn't just temptation anymore. It was love. I was living two lives. One with Raghav, predictable and safe. And another with Arif, wild and intoxicating. Every time he touched me, every time his lips met mine, the rest of the world ceased to exist. There was no marriage, no rules, no boundaries. There was only the fire between us, untamed, unstoppable. One evening, standing in the dim light of my kitchen, Arif leaned against the counter, watching me as I poured us tea. His gaze was intense, like he was trying to memorize every curve of my face. This can't last forever, I whispered, staring down at the cups. I know, he said softly, stepping closer, his fingers brushing mine. But promise me something. I looked up, meeting his eyes. What? Promise me you won't forget what this feels like. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. I couldn't, even if I tried. He smiled faintly, leaning down to press a soft, lingering kiss against my forehead. And in that moment, I knew we were doomed. Because sometimes the heart doesn't care about vows or rules. Sometimes it only cares about the fire that makes it beat faster. And mine beat for him. That summer changed everything. I don't know where this story will end, whether I'll choose safety or passion, loyalty or love. All I know is this. I was married. But Arif awakened desires I couldn't ignore. And once awakened, some desires refused to sleep again.